All right, and welcome back to another episode of my favorite, the best show on Friday night, the one about gambling, the one that gives you winners, the one that drinks while giving you winners. Choked a little, choked a little bit on that one. Might have to cancel the live stream here. Welcome back to the one and only Friday Night Lines. We're out here. We're giving out winners as usual. Winners, 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 and more winners. Honestly, right now, I am the hottest gambler in the NFL right now. All my NFL picks are on fire. If you listen to our podcast with Ben Morgan, the Loaded Box podcast, you know I'm the hottest NFL gambler in the league right now. I think I'm up like something like 3 point something units. I was 4-1 last week. I gave you 4-1 on this show. 2-3 in college football, not as good, not terrible, but not as good, not where I want to be. Overall, college football, I'm 7-8 overall, 2-3 last week. In the NFL, I'm 6-4 overall. You're winning money, especially if you're following my units that I'm giving you on Loaded Box podcast. I mean, you're rich right now if you're following my NFL picks. You're rich. If you're not following my NFL picks, I don't know what you're doing. I'm giving out free winners right now, okay? That's what I'm doing, all right? So sit back, grab a beer. It's fucking Friday night. I mean, if you're young, you're probably out partying. If you're me, you're sitting back watching the college football games that, we're betting on, of course. I think Iowa's got, who's Iowa playing right now? Maryland. Iowa's beating Maryland 34-17. The BYU-Utah State game, it's good, 17-10. I've got Utah State. I actually sprinkled a little money line on Utah State at home tonight. So I'm hoping to catch the second half of that game after this show or within the second quarter. Anyways, let's get in. As you can see, I have it scrolling on the bottom. Let's get into the college football picks as I give you first. We will start off with, hopefully, I'm looking to right the ship here at college football. It's not fucking good, all right? I'm getting pissed. Teams aren't doing things. It's one of the weirdest years of college football I've ever seen. Nobody can figure anything out. It's frustrating. I don't know what's going on in college football. It's fun, but if you're gambling on it, it's confusing. This first team I'm betting on is North Carolina minus 20 versus Duke. They are just so Jekyll and Hyde right now that I don't know what to think about them. I bet on them last week. I gave you the pick. They just lost. They straight up lost. They were 14-point favorites, and they got just crushed by Georgia Tech. Sam Howell right now is trying to do everything by himself, but I thought that the experience would be up next, from last year to this year. It's really just Sam Howell at this point. They played bad last week. I expect them to reverse and play amazing this week against a really, really bad Duke team. 20, I don't believe, was enough points, and I'm just hoping North Carolina bounces back like they have been doing. So since I lost with them last week, I'm going to go ahead and jump on them this week. I'm going to fade them next week. I'm going to take the minus 20 with North Carolina, Sam Howell, who still could win that Heisman. Probably not going to. I think maybe the leader of the house is either Bryce Young or one guy that actually the matchup of the Heisman contenders, I think, is coming in my future picks here and is a beautiful slate. If you're not betting on like every game tomorrow, it's one of the best slates of college football all weekend. I'm so excited. There's marquee matchups all over the place. For some reason, there's not even a really good Saturday night game, which is kind of annoying. Most of the games, Ole Miss, Alabama, Wisconsin, Michigan, Cincinnati, Notre Dame are, 11 o'clock, 2:30 Central Time, things like that. But it's a great slate. I think I have to go pick pumpkins with my son and wife, which is hopefully I can get out at 9, 10 o'clock because I am not missing these games tomorrow. So they're going to have to get out and go early. Otherwise, we're coming back home because I'm watching every fucking game on tomorrow. And it's kind of like a rivalry week. I'm pretty excited about this upcoming slate of college football games. Game number 2, Wake Forest is one of those teams. I've talked about this from year to year. Wake Forest is one of those teams that once you start betting on a team, I had this with Utah probably 2 years ago. I had this with Louisville, I believe, 2 years ago. Last year they sucked. But you just keep riding them until they let you down. And even if they let you down, Temple, I did this with as well, a couple of years ago. Even if they let you down one time, you keep riding them because you're going to win more than you lose. Wake Forest, who I'm calling Waken Forest or Wake Gun, like a wagon, Forest. I'm just going to ride them -7. I like Louisville right now. I like what they're bringing to the table. They can score. Not really defending, but they're putting points up, and they have covered the last 2 games that they've played. But Wake Forest right now is just going to be an automatic bet for me every week. I will lay in the number constantly. I think this team can win the ACC. North Carolina's not winning it. Clemson isn't winning it. Miami sure as hell is the worst team. Virginia won last night, but they're not that good either. Virginia Tech or Wake Forest and Tech, I think, is overrated as well. Wake Forest, I think, is the best team in the ACC. Is going to go ahead and win this conference. I'm going to try to watch these fuckers closely tomorrow. Game number 3. I'm with this team for the last 2 years. This is team I bet by default last year. I'm going to bet them by default this year because they keep winning me money. I'm taking Cincinnati -1 at Notre Dame. I watched Notre Dame play, okay? I watched Notre Dame play against Wisconsin. Wisconsin cannot play offense at all. They just can't. Notre Dame had no tackles in the game. I mean, I think they were on their 3rd left tackle. Drew Pine came in, who I think was actually the 3rd quarterback. He looked really good. He looked better than Jack Cohen. But really, when it comes down to it, it was more like a 3 to 7 point game than like a 21 point game. But Graham Mertz is just maybe the worst quarterback all of college football, and threw 3 interceptions in a row and 2 pick sixes in a row at the end of the game, which massively inflated that score higher than what it was. Notre Dame, I don't think they're just not a good football team. They're going to struggle against Cincinnati's defense just like they did against Wisconsin's defense to score. Cincinnati's offense is not going to turn the ball over. Desmond Ridder is not going to turn the ball over. He's much better than Graham Mertz. They will be able to score. It's going to be a lower scoring game, like 24-17. I expect Cincinnati to win by around 3 to 7 points. I expect them to win this game. I mean, they played kind of crappy last week, but look, they're looking ahead. This is the game they've been waiting for. This is their prove-it game. They want to get in that college football playoff, especially in a fucking game or a season where the college football playoff is wide open. Playoffs are wide open. Just go win this game, Cincinnati. Go win this game, Desmond Ridder. Fickle, everybody. Just go win this game. I love it. Cincinnati -1. Let's go. My favorite game. I think everybody's favorite game. Tied between the Cincinnati and Notre Dame game. Ole Miss versus, I think it's at Alabama, isn't it? Ole Miss at Alabama. They're playing down in Tuscaloosa. This has brought some good matchups. There's some great historic matchups. Matt Corral, I think, is leading the Heisman right now. I love Matt Corral. He's placing the ball better than anybody. He's confident. He's more confident than everybody. Hasn't had like his up and down game. Alabama's defense struggled against Emory Jones, who I don't think is the best quarterback in his team. I think Matt Corral is going to pick them apart. They're going to stay in this game. They may not win. I think they can win, but they're going to keep it close. 14.5 points is just too much. You're going to make 2 scores versus in a game where the best quarterback, I think, in college football, who's been scoring like crazy, Lane Kiffin coming in with something to prove. This is the game for them. It's going to be up and down. Like the over-under, I think, is like 79 points, 79.5 points. Getting to 80, it'll probably be 80 tomorrow. It's going to be back and forth constantly. You're going to be on the edge of your seat. Somebody's going to take a 2-score lead, but it's like then fucking Alabama is going to come back and answer and tie the game, and it's going to be back and forth. You're going to think you're going to get blown out, but ultimately it's going to be close in the end. Probably going to come down to a field goal, in my opinion. I'm really excited to see how Matt Corral plays, and I'm also excited to see if Bryce Young, how he is in his first year in the biggest game of his career. Expectations in Tuscaloosa are higher than any place in all the nation. So I'm excited to see this. 14.5 is too much. Florida showed that you can play. Even when they got down 21-0 or 21-3, Florida showed by coming back in that game that you can play and almost winning. They had a chance to tie it with the worst 2-point conversion of all time. They showed that you can play with Alabama. I'm drinking an Oktoberfest, by the way. If you don't drink an Oktoberfest type of beer, that's all I have in my fridge during Oktoberfest. I just know what the fuck you are doing. They're my favorite type of beer anyways. What game are we on? 5. This is my last game of the weekend. Kentucky plus 7.5 versus Florida. I was just talking about Florida. Emory Jones is their quarterback. Anthony Richardson, Cam Newton-like-ish on the bench, does not start, should be starting. I think they could be a national championship. There's probably still a national championship playoff, I should say, contender team in Florida, but Kentucky has experience. And right now it feels like experience is winning in college football this year for some reason. And I don't know what was going on, but experience is kind of beating talent at this point. When it comes down to it, Clemson is a great example. Like, we thought they had all the talent in the world. They suck. And they just don't have the experience there. DJ Uiagalelei or whatever however you say his name, not looking great. Ohio State hasn't looked great up to this point with CJ Stroud and things like that. I think they're getting better. Their defense is slowly improving, but these super talented teams, except for Alabama, haven't looked great. It's more experience combined with talent this year. So college football playoffs are wide open. Kentucky, one of the best run games, led by Chris Rodriguez Jr. He's leading the SEC in rushing yards. They've also benefited from having a stout defense, and they go into this game with one of the biggest rivalries in college football, and they have their crowd behind them, and it's going to be rocking. And that affects 19 and 20-year-olds on the other side, right? It just does. I like Kentucky. So, again, more than a touchdown, 7.5 points. I love Kentucky in this game. It's going to be another tight game. It will be within a touchdown. I think Kentucky's going to win this game, personally. After Florida coming off of, Alabama, was that last? No, the previous, I think maybe 2 weeks ago. Florida coming recently off Alabama, maybe thinking they coming in here and they can beat a team like this, beat up a little bit. I like Kentucky in this game. They're just under the radar, and they're just hard. They're just a tough team to play against. Not a team you want to play against. So let's go ahead, jump to the NFL slate. This is where I'm making you money. So if you want to fade my NFL or my college football games, fine. Fade my college football games. Do it. I don't care. I'm going to win eventually. I'm only off by one game. But let's go into the NFL, where I am making you a shit ton of money. 4-1 last week. The units I'm giving people on the Loaded Box podcast to bet on this, if you're following those units, go check out the Loaded Box podcast. I'm not going to give you my money line parlay, but that thing is a winner. The money line parlay is fucking cash. I've won 2 weeks in a row, plus 930 last week, plus like 822 weeks ago. 2 money line parlays. If you want the money parlay, go listen to Loaded Box podcast. You can get extra picks from me on there, plus my money line parlay, which continues to cash. Go check that out. Loaded Box podcast or Loaded Box podcast. You can find it anywhere you can listen to podcasts at all. All right, NFL slate. I won't spend out too much time on here because I'm hot. So do I need to explain myself? Do I really need to explain myself that much when I'm this hot? Just take my bets, put them in, and run. Okay. And send me the tip. Send me a tip. All right. Whatever you usually pay your bookie with the juice money, with the juice, send me that juice as a little tip. That's my $5, $10, $20, $50, whatever. How much ever, 10% of whatever you're winning. That's all I expect. So, game number 1, Titans -7 at New York Jets. I know. And this game might even be falling right now. After, while we're talking here, after the announcement of A.J. Brown and Julio Jones' hamstrings both falling off of their legs, I'm guessing the spread on this game is falling. And I want to go find out for you right now while we're chatting. But like I said, -7, it makes you nervous. Julio Jones is out. A.J. Brown's out. Who's catching the ball? Obviously, they have Derrick Henry. He's going to probably run it down there. Run it down the Jets' fucking throats. Tennessee Titans are now down to -6. So you can get them at 6 right now. This is only Friday. So you got until Sunday to bet this game. I have Titans -7. I haven't put it in yet. So I'll probably wait to see if it continues to fall. One thing I know, I said this last year, Titans beat the fuck out of bad teams. Ryan Tannehill is a serviceable quarterback. He's good. He's perfect with this offense because Derrick Henry sets up that play action, and that's where Tannehill succeeds. And the New York Jets aren't going to be the one to stop them, but they historically, the Titans, the last 3 years now, this is the third year of that, just beat the crap out of bad teams. They don't always beat the good teams. They play close. Sometimes they win in those tight games, but they beat the shit out of bad teams. That's what they do. They are bad team bullies. They are mean. They're bullies. Vrabel loves playing against shitty teams. He's like, I'm going to run up the score and scare everybody. happily lay these 7, 6, 5 points, whatever you get for this by Sunday. Keep watching. It might come down. If it's already down 1 point, I'd wait still and see if it comes down even more by Sunday morning or Saturday night if you're scared that it jumps back up. Game number 2, everybody's going to be on the Chiefs. Everybody and their mom. Chiefs are losing. They're 1-2. They haven't covered the spread. They're going to be angry. They're going to just smash a bad Eagles team. They watch the Eagles on Monday night just play terribly. No, go the other way. 90% of the bets are going to be, public bets are going to be on the Chiefs -7. Take those Eagles +7. Put that in. That's one of my favorite bets, the Eagles +7. One of my favorite bets. I almost want to call it a lock. But the Chiefs are right now maybe the worst team in the last 2019 or 2020 last year, 2021 this year in covering the spread. They just haven't covered the spread. They're the worst team in the worst defense in the red zone. They don't stop anybody from scoring inside the red zone. Jalen Hurts isn't good, but I think his ability to run, they're going to get Miles Sanders the ball more than 2 times, is going to prove to be troubles for that Chiefs defense, as the same as Lamar Jackson was. They're going to slow the ball. They're going to slow down the game. They got a great defensive front 7, which will be able to give Mahomes a little bit of problems because they can get there with 4 or 5 guys, which, quarterbacks like Mahomes, Rodgers, that's the only way you can slow them down a little bit is by being able to get there rushing 4 and stop the run with not having to bring your safeties up. I think the Eagles can do that. I like this game within 7. I think the Eagles can make it interesting. Chiefs are going to win, probably. But the Eagles will keep it within 7. The Chiefs just haven't covered the spread. That's just not what they're doing right now. My favorite bet is at the end. Another bet I like, and I'm going to give you a little tidbit on this that I heard today. Rams -4.5 versus the Cardinals. Sean McVay, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey. But Sean McVay destroys the Cardinals. He's 8-0 versus the Cardinals. They've outscored him by 100 and something points in those 8 games. For some reason, they consistently got the mobile quarterbacks. Aaron Donald loves playing against Russell Wilson. He loves playing against Kyler Murray because they're undisciplined and they do dumb things. And the Rams are a very disciplined team, so they stay in their lanes, and these running quarterbacks get themselves in trouble. And now they have Matt Stafford on their side. So if they're going 8-0 and winning probably 6 of those games with Jared fucking Goff, who's terrible, he's playing on the Detroit Lions, where what do you expect? It's Detroit Lions. They suck. So you go there, you're going to have trouble. Matt Stafford lost there. So what do you think is going to happen with Jared Goff there? I don't know how they win a game. Anyway, Rams -4.5. Take that. Run with it. People love the Cardinals because Kyler Murray is all fancy. He makes dumb decisions. Cliff Kingsbury is a bad coach. Kyler Murray's a little bit too erratic for me. When he runs into better defenses, as he did with Jacksonville, who's not even a good defense, he gets himself into trouble doing the stupid stuff he does. Sometimes guys were getting wide open. This just doesn't happen against good teams. He's going to get sacked. He's going to fumble. He's going to throw interceptions. It's going to be a disaster. Cardinals fans are going to be pissed. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be cute. Not everybody's going to be hyping on Kyler Murray anymore. Rams are going to come in and put a beating on the Cardinals. And this is at home for the Rams. Game number 4, I always give you Packers because they consistently cover the spread. -6.5 versus the Steelers. You saw Roethlisberger, right? Packers defense play more physical than the Niners. And this offensive line for the Steelers, they can't block anybody. Najee Harris can catch 20 balls and he'll get 20 yards receiving. He can't run the ball anywhere because he can't get anywhere. He's getting hit behind the line of scrimmage more than anybody in the NFL. Roethlisberger is tripping on the ground, trying to throw passes. He literally is rolling out right and falling. I don't know if you guys saw that last week. If you didn't, go look it up. Roethlisberger's old ass ankles and knees just can't hold him up anymore. He should just gain that weight back and get fat again because that's the only thing he has going for him. Packers -6.5. They're going to dominate this team. They're going to beat the shit out of this team. I don't know what else to say. We should be able to pick them apart. It's going to be fun. Can't wait to win that game. And then last but not least, my game day guarantee. The Bucs are only favored by 7 versus the Patriots. The Patriots, I called this 2 weeks ago. They are not a good football team. Mac Jones isn't ready yet. He may be good, but he's not now. Brady's out there to prove a point. Brett Favre did this against the Packers in his first game again. against the Packers, beat the shit out of us. That's just what he did. He came in, he beat the fuck out of us because he wanted to. He hated the front office for what they did. They made the right choice ultimately. Belichick and the front office did not make the right choice with Tom Brady because he's going to come in and he's going to beat the shit out of them. But Tampa Bay just has an amazing defense. So I don't even know how the Patriots are going to move the ball up and down the field. They're going to struggle to score because that defense is going to come out pumped up for Tom Brady, and they are going to be flying everywhere because the weakness for Tampa Bay is the secondary, and Patriots cannot throw the ball down the field. So I don't know how they're going to score. It's not going to be by running. They're not going to be able to throw short passes with that front seven. -7, -10, -14. I don't care. I might bet an alternate line of -21 for the Buccaneers. This is a blowout. Those are my picks. Those are my winners for Saturday and Sunday. You know the NFL is winning. So at least put those bets in with confidence. If you want my units, my confidence on them, go ahead. Check them out. Loaded Box Podcast. Anywhere you find podcasts. 21 minutes. I do this by myself, y'all. I'm just talking to you guys and me. That's all I'm doing. I'm just talking. It's just us, just together. Let's win. Let's win this week. And if you lose, gamble through it. But if you got my picks, you're not losing. Let's fucking go. Cheers to the weekend. Win some bets. If you want to jump in my DMs, ask me about what I think about some games, please do. I would love it. Until then, cheers to another winning weekend.